Hey, I'm Spencer. Welcome to my garage. Today we are going to talk about my 2007 BMW 335 and why I haven't driven it basically in the past 2 or 3 years. And it does have to do with the turbo. First, let's get the battery charged up. Hook up positive and negative right here. Got it plugged in. Flip the modes over to regular 12 volt and start charging. Ever since I got this turbo kit put on, I actually installed it myself. It is the Doc Race single turbo kit. The turbo is a Precision Turbo 6266. The part that has me not driving it is leaking oil, and I've still yet to figure it out. Right at the top is the oil feed line. So it has a line that comes up and just goes into the top. I think it's called a cartridge. Basically, since day one, it's been wet and oily from the top there. You can see kind of orange color around the nut there. In one attempt to fix it or see if it would fix it, I just kind of dripped some thread sealant on there to hope that if there was a leak, it would kind of seep in and, you know, stop the leak, just as an attempt. That didn't work. Even right now, it's still kind of shiny and wet. And I'm pretty sure that is the source of the leak. You're not supposed to adjust that nut. It comes from the factory tightened to a specific area. I think down below, there's like a long skinny shaft that needs to be set at a specific rotation. And so I think the warranty is like void if you try to tighten or loosen that nut, and so that's why they have that gauge there where it's easy to tell if you have adjusted it. And so I have obviously not tightened or loosened it. I have, you know, taken the feed line off a couple times to try to see if maybe that's where the leak was coming from, but I've never really seen oil above these threads here. It always seems to be from down here. So I think oil is kind of seeping through those threads, and then obviously it will drip down and, you know, go with gravity. You can even see the oil drain line right underneath it, and you can kind of see a little buildup of oil there, even in that hole for the screws. And then you can see kind of how that oil drain line goes down. What I've tried is I wanted to make sure it wasn't the oil drain line, and so I've replaced the drain line itself 2 times. So I've had 3 different hoses on there. The one that comes from Doc Race is like a blue hose, and when I installed it, I guess I was too close to some of the exhaust, and it kind of melted and burned up quite a bit. I hear that is pretty common. A few other people looking online have had that issue. So I don't know if I just like routed it different or if it's just not really the best hose. So had some issues with that, so replaced that once with a brand new hose. It was still leaking, and it almost looks like the leak is coming from the drain hose down there, just because gravity will take the oil down, and so that's where all the oil is gonna meet as well. So it gets super oily, and then the oil, you know, goes on the hose itself and drips down. And when I take the underpan off from the bottom of the car, it's usually filled with oil. So not really the best thing to have in a car, especially one that's tuned and has, you know, a bigger turbo, things like that. So I've just not driven it, which kind of sucks because it's a fun car to drive. I switched to AN fittings, so the hose will kind of have a fitting that screws on, and then I also replaced the fitting that goes to the engine block itself. So they both have AN fittings on, and I thought maybe if the leak is coming from like the hose itself or the hose clamps, this should, you know, solve that issue. And obviously it's still leaking. I'm pretty sure it's the turbo itself. So the leak has nothing to do with the Doc Race kit. I probably just received a defective turbo from the factory. So moving forward, what am I gonna do? I am going to take it into a shop. There's a shop that's pretty highly rated for performance BMWs and N54s especially. I think I found them just on Instagram, just following some people in the area here in Washington. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna take it up to them, have them look at it, kind of give me a diagnosis, and hopefully they can fix it, or at least tell me if it is the turbo itself. Maybe I did something else wrong when I installed it. This is the biggest job I've done on a car before, is installing the turbo. Subscribe if you want to see updates on this. Pretty soon I want to get it taken in and get it diagnosed, figure out what's going on with it, and hopefully get it back in condition where I feel comfortable driving it and enjoying it again. Follow along on this journey and it takes us, and if we can get this, you know, back on the road and have a semi-reliable N54. I think N54s are pretty commonly known to not be reliable. So if we can get it mostly reliable, that would be awesome. In a future video, I want to go through a full tour of the car. I guess I can give a sneak peek right now. I really like the interior on it. Got the manual transmission, a carbon fiber steering wheel, and some carbon fiber vinyl wrapped trim. So follow along, subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna try to get some videos out. So there you go. Let's try to get back into this YouTube thing. Until next time, we'll see you around.